and oil business. Apart from this, they have other businesses too, and they operate in more than 130 countries with over 88,000 employees. Moving on. So the industries that they're currently working with are the shipping industry and the oil industry. They are working with other industries too, but these are the prime focuses. So the shipping industry we see forms around 80% of globally traded goods by volume, and the industry, however, has been falling since 2015 due to macroeconomic factors. And the oil industry, we see that the fluctuation in oil prices and demand is present. Moving on. So the strengths of the organization are that they are the market leader in the business that they're doing. They have achieved cost leadership, and they value the use of technology in their operations, which means that they have technology integrated operations. And the weaknesses, as we see, that their financial solvency depends only on the two businesses that we mentioned before. So this is a weakness, that their business model is not diversified enough, and there's a low profit margin. The opportunities, as we see, that there is a booming reefer industry, which refers to vessels which are technology integrated, and then there are possibilities for mergers and acquisitions all over the world. And there is a Chinese market which is highly potential because there is a zeal among Chinese people that they have towards imports. And the threats, as we see, are the unfavorable market condition, fluctuating demand and prices, and extremely competitive trade routes. Moving on. So we have decided to go on with the problem analysis by doing a fishbone diagram, and we see that the ultimate dreaded effect at this point is that there is a slump in financial growth, and the company is uncertain about future operational strategy. Now, what is causing this? We see that the causes are that there is an operation duplicity, which means that the market is quite reactive. When a company implements a particular strategy, there is a high chance that other competitors actually do the same thing, and this is what has happened here. And then there are mergers among prime competitors, which has initiated a high competitive rivalry in the market. And we also see that the Chinese companies are being helped by their government to initiate a very fierce rivalry in the market. We also see that there are globally changing macroeconomic factors such as changes in price and demand, which is ultimately leading to oil price falling. And we see that this is causing a problem for the firm because they are dependent on oil, say, by a large volume. And we also see that in the shipping business, there is an overcapacity going on and falling freight rates, all of which ultimately lead to the dreaded effect, that is that there is a slump in financial growth and uncertainty about future operational strategy.
So after we evaluated the fishbone analysis, we can finally draw the core issue, which is that it has to achieve profitable operational scalability to adapt to the changes. The global business ecosystem has to adapt to that, and it also has to adjust itself with the shift in the macroeconomic variables. Moving on, we can analyze the quarter's 5 forces. First, we see that the supply problem is low. The supply requirements are already fulfilled by the subsidiary companies. The buying power and the competitive rivalry are kept at a higher state because the demand is high as well as the competition in the market. The threat to substitution is low because shipping and oil substitutes options are pretty low. The threats of new entry is low because there are a lot of big players in the market. Moving on. Now, to address the core issue, we are offering 2 alternatives and finally our strategic effective action plan. The first alternative talks about concentrating more on this other strategic business unit in the business portfolio. The second alternative, we are trying to reconstruct the alliance with the Chinese state-owned enterprises. And finally, the 3-year strategy is what we are going to promote. Now, let's evaluate our first alternative. We see that the increase in the market share, which will eventually lead to financial solvency, serves as an advantage. Along with that, stronger and diversified revenue model will also be an advantage. However, shifting from its core business unit could be in a difficult, the company could fall in a difficult position. The strategy required to reposition itself will also require high investment. Moving on to alternative 2, which is reconstructing alliances with Chinese-led companies. Now, from this we can benefit by the region-based Chinese ecosystem. Then, since China is the largest shipbuilding nation, it has a lot of competitors. However, forming alliances will make them into allies. And the growing Chinese market, they have a zeal to import a lot of goods, so this serves as an advantage. Now, Among the cons, we see that creating alliances will give them very less independence in controlling and managing the operation. The possibility of rejection still persists, and the complications in operations will also be a result. Moving on. Now, before we promote our strategy, we want to see that how are they going to combat the key challenges. The first challenge is that it is going to recover from the adverse or unfavorable market conditions. Second challenge is it has to utilize and it has to optimize its resources to gain competitive advantages. Third, it has to think or has a clear idea about their future growth perspectives, and we have to ensure that the strategies they are going to promote is sustainable. Pratik will continue.
Thank you. So what we recommend is the 3A strategy, that is survive, succeed, and sustain. Now here is a evaluation criteria given by the key issues and a comparative analysis of the alternatives along with our proposed strategy. We see that if we emphasize on the other SBUs of Mars, it will actually give us a short-term leverage over our competitors, but will fall out in the future. And also reconstructing the Chinese alliance will actually provide us with a huge untapped market and a sheer loss in the future when the Chinese market actually fails to grow. So the 3A strategy is the go-to one for us. So the short-term plan of action, that is to survive in this adverse position, will amount to 3 years, and we propose to digitize the vessels and lessening the operating costs by laying off the employees. There will be employees only enough to operate the vessels, but to offload and unload the products, the workforce will be provided by the client company itself. So this will actually lessen the operating cost, which is important to survive in this stage. So now, why will the companies come to Mars? Because at the fifth point we see that we will equip GAMCO as SBU of Mars with product grading capability. In today's world, the export-import system relies highly on the trust of exporters and importers. So when a neutral global brand starts doing grading for them, they will feel a more sense of reliance on them, because there will be no inflated grading system by the local companies. And this will allow the companies to come to Mars for shipments. Also, we propose to make geographic alliances. That is, you see from the case that Mars has made an alliance of 2M worldwide. But we propose to make alliances in major geographic segments with only the major players of that segment. This way we can actually utilize the resources better and also reduce the shipping capacity by completely idling small and medium vessels and operate only bigger cargoes. Because this way the shortage in supply of shipping worldwide will actually help to grow the demand. So are we suggesting to leave out a market intact? No, because we are asking for economies of scope. That is, from the case we already see that they have invested in the airline industry, and we want to initiate the air cargo service and actually provide an in-depth marketing strategy to shift the demand for quickly moving, fast-moving products to air cargo service instead of small and medium vessels. Moving on. So also we see from the case that there is a high growth, gradual growth in the reefer industry, the perishable products, and this is a thing that we can actually tap into. Because in this industry, no one actually wants to pile up a huge inventory, right? So that is why what we want to do is to tap this market and bring them to the air cargo service, and this way it will actually ensure that sustainability of our air cargo service even when we reintroduce our small and medium vessels in the next plan of auction. And also, we will develop a crisis management team throughout major global areas that will monitor the operations along with the cultural diversity that global scale gives us. And also to challenge the Chinese market, that is a hostile market by the government policy to challenge that we will actually create an umbrella brand under Mars led by Chinese leadership in Chinese market. And this will actually lay a platform for us to to do our next plan of action better that will be presented to you by Mahir.
Thank you. Now, this is the long-term action. We will initiate this plan of action in the 5th year. We already achieved the success this year. Well, you know that oil is a limited resource. So the prices now is low, but in the near future it will go up. And at that time we will reinitiate this thing. And then we will build a local operation team. We know that this is a global business. So cultural diversity is fierce here. So a local operation team will monitor and evaluate all the necessary steps that need to be taken. Also, improving supply chain of Mars oil. We all know, we propose that we will build a tanker storage for improving the supply chain. See, if anyone orders and then we will transfer the whole thing, that will increase our efficiency and also time, and also it will increase our profitability. Then we know that APM terminals are the third highest growing source of revenue for Mars. So we are proposing APM terminal strategy by providing digitalization here. See, APM terminals are actually providing logistics support to the other businesses and all the things. So along with the digitalization, we are actually focusing more on APM terminal strategy. And then, as my fellow said, that merging with Chinese companies, he always said that this is the umbrella brand we are actually operating in the Chinese market. Here, merging with these Chinese companies, it will initiate all the facilities the Chinese government are providing to the Chinese to the company. Now, this actually is the long term, and it will be continue in the longer version. In the second phase, we are actually providing crisis management department, where there will be monitoring and evaluation team. There will be disaster recovery team and also contingency planning team. We will make contingency plans. These are the monitoring criteria. Some of them are commercial rate, market share, policy failure, return on investment, also the retention rate. These are some of the methods they need to apply: is customer survey, cost benefit analysis, the community mapping, and also the impact evaluation. Now, in the short term, there are some risks that will be occur. Initial slump in the revenue, the chances are very high. Also, technology-based training will be medium, and also hazards monitoring, the chances is low. However, in the long run, the fluctuating global economy, this is the highest amount of risk that might occur. Also, international policies and also the idea duplicity, the chances will be medium. Now, the contingency that if everything falls apart, so far we are actually providing to the scratch to the end. We are actually doing the vertical integration, but here we are actually proposing to initiate the horizontal integration. See, by doing performing acquisition to our competitors and all those things. This will happen if everything falls down. Now, our whole big picture of Mars Corporation would be to build up as a growing company. This will be achieving solvency across a diversified portfolio of companies. This is actually justified because by this plan of action, we will gain the profitability also.
Our solution is acceptable because we are promoting a diversified business model.
Our strategy is feasible because it emphasizes on the cost-effective ways that it can survive in the macroeconomic conditions.
And it also ensures sustainability because we have diverse sectors of sources of revenue for Mars Group.
Thank you, everyone. This is Team Arkan. Thank you all the judges. Thank you all the audiences.
Thank you. Good presentation. And frankly, very good idea about airship. Because so the changing global market scenario where Alibaba sells $11 billion in one day, all of which is going to go by air, going to air shipment is very important for the future. Now, you guys all have, this is not only for you, for all the teams. Nobody has really talked about R&D here. Innovation is very important right now, particularly 70% of the cost is coming from fuel, oil. There are lots of other fuel alternatives now. Why are we not looking at that option? Mark should definitely be looking at that option as to reduce the cost of such shipment. Okay? Fossil fuel is also going to be out. So, should they continue with the oil drilling and petroleum oil business?
Sir, if I may summarize that. What we are proposing at first is to actually opt out the leverages that our competitors are getting in the oil industry from us, that we do by shipping others' oil products. These shipments will be turned off, and we will only ship our oils, and that will actually be a cost-effective way, and we will not ship the others' oil, and also the shipping supply in the global market will also be lessened when small and medium vessels will be idle by us, and that will lead to a shortage of supply, and that will increase demand. Also, since oil is something that is not renewable and will amount less in the future, we can very well assume and interpret that the prices of oil will increase at some point of time. The declining industry that we have now will actually increase, and that's when we actually reproduce our small and medium vessels, and will create a surge of more supply of the shipments. So what you actually asked us to work about how we develop the oil shipment channel and also the substitution of oils. Since it isn't in the company portfolio, we didn't want to actually add an entire different product supply chain. And that's why we tried to work with the current operational cycle, and we used timeline to mitigate the current losses that the company is facing. And for the R&D department, we have actually included the digitization of the vessels, and also Damco, which is Damco is also
Yes, the logistics support.
the logistics support. They will actually do the research and development to better equip our vessels, because from the case we see that the current captain can actually have the technology to monitor what the products are being shipped. So we also use that to understand that what genre of products are being equipped in our ship, because we will have less workforce in our ships right now, and those workforce will be taken from the client companies. So we will use technologies to understand what genre of products they are shipping and the quantity of it. That's the R&D mean we have actually tried.
If I may add to that, the digitization that we are referring to, it is actually a part of the technology and innovation that you mentioned about, and we expect R&D to take place there. So that's it.
Thank you. Another great presentation. I think one of you mentioned that in the 5th year, for sure, the oil prices will increase due to various factors. I think you should always take this into account that nothing is sure in this world.
Obviously, sir.
Otherwise, we would all be billionaires. That's future commodities market. If you know that, for sure, tell me. I'll invest and I'll be a billionaire in the years to come. So please take that into account. There are disruptive technologies, not only Amazon, either on that side. Telsa, they're doing great things in energy. So what will happen to oil price? I think we can't say for sure.
Sir, it was a logical interpretation to the fact that
Unless disruptive technology
obvious.
something which we don't know about today emerges in 3 to 5 years time.
Yes, obviously.
So however, the assumption that we made was based on data that we received in the case, and we know that oil is actually a kind of limited resource. So that is where the assumption came from.
Like I said to another presentation before, that you should not, this kind of overconfidence and definite comment isn't wise. Because we all have limitations. We can't predict the future with that level of.
Obviously, we cannot predict the future, and we don't know when oil will be substituted. But until then, what we wanted to do is to stop the leverages that the competitors are receiving from us, and we do a vertical integration in our oil supply chain so that until oil gets substituted, we get the highest amount of competitive advantage from our competitors.
Thanks for delivering a very good presentation. I like your idea of competition. You have talked about so we can that can be shared with our stakeholders so that we can minimize our cost. I think we talked about, but I actually want to know a bit more about how the services develop because is actually a city. Of course, I know Cambodia is supply chain and that's a costlier service. I was saying, when I joined in at that time, the rate difference between us and other services is still $300 now there is no difference. It's becoming more to market. So getting it $50 premium is very big. So we are talking about that.
Action plans that we actually mentioned, it has an interlink between every steps. See, when we say that we are actually idling the small and medium vessels, there will be a surge of supply for faster movement of products because products hold 30% of the global small and medium vessels supply chain. So when that goes out, the only big cargoes will not suffice for the fast moving products. That is the reefer industry, and the case shows it is highly growing. So when they are left with lesser alternatives, they will automatically move to faster alternatives. That is the air cargo system. Now, since air cargo is obviously a premium service and it can amount to almost 4 to 5 times than the small and medium vehicles would cost, but again, it will actually make the operations faster because the perishable products, electronic devices, and also the fast-moving product needs faster movement through the supply chain, and that is why this can take over the small and medium shortage of supply made by the small and medium vessels. And since the thing that you asked about the correlation between the vessel and the air cargo system, see that the vessels might be a cost-effective solution, but it can actually, suppose it can cost $10 for a shipment, but it will take 7 days to reach the destination. The air cargo system might cost you $50, but it will reach the destination within 1 day. It will make 7 days to shipment. The cost goes higher, but also the sales becomes higher, and that's why by creating more revenue, the companies can actually profit from air cargo system. And since the different industry, the perishable products needs some kind of control over the environment, environment, this will actually ensure that these things are used by the companies.
Probably if you can generate another idea. So only if you can talk about CA, meaning say if we load a container, that will reach a million of you are always in 25 million. Probably the customer will use 7 days. Where if you make this by then it will increase by next year. Probably that will have this cost 5%. No, secret. If you can make a combination of CRE, then you could shift this over to server. All the servers then you can make a transfer. And that's all.
Can I focus not to depend only on oil and all shipment things. We are trying to focus on different areas of shipment, like you said, the refer system. We are actually encouraging all the other sources of revenue. That's why actually we try to go for the air cargo system, so we can achieve the economies of scale by providing more transactions.
Also, sir, since we are forming a global geographic alliances, that will also help us to promote our air cargo service throughout the global fast-moving countries.
Thank you, sir.
With that, we conclude the team presentations for today. Judges will take some time now to discuss and select the gold, silver, and bronze award winners for this year's competition. Once the judges are busy, let me take this opportunity to start the ceremonies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the grand finale of HSBC-IBA Business Case Competition. So we have watched today some brilliant minds coming together, not to only work as effective teams, but also to prove that youngsters of today really have what it takes to be effective leaders of tomorrow. The HSBC-IBA Business Competition Bangladesh 2018 had 42 teams from 22 universities battling it out for the top spot this year. We had teams coming over from all over the country, giving us proof of how much business talent is spread across the nation. IBA and IBA Business Communications Club have been instrumental in making this a smooth journey. Let's have a big round of applause.
Of the United Nations Development Program, we would like to thank the hosts, colleagues from HSBC and IBA, and also it is a pleasure to be here tonight with the special the chief guest, Mr. Abdul Kalam Azad, the Principal Coordinator of SDG Affairs. It is truly a pleasure to see the brightest of minds coming together for opportunities to improve their knowledge and skills and to express themselves. At UNDP, we see the private sector and youth as key elements of a successful formula for sustainable development. With the private sector as the engine of national development and youth as a source of inspiration, creativity, and for transformational changes. This business case competition perfectly aligns with what the UN believed in. And this year we were extremely glad to have participated in a business case competition workshop, providing a snapshot of how sustainable development goals, SDGs, can be looked at as insights to solve a business case. For example, UNDP is now working with Unilever on a safe water innovation challenge. We are asking the youth to come up with solutions on how to make safe water available and affordable for all through business models and products. The business case exists across the SDGs in food and agriculture, energies, cities and materials, and health and well-being. These sectors are approximately 60% of the real economy. Solving a business case is finding a solution to a problem that affects people, the planet, and prosperity. Sustainable development in Bangladesh is a sum of challenges that are waiting to be solved. These solutions are worth $51 billion. $51 billion of business opportunities that solve public challenges while supporting private sector to accelerate growth. One of the 6 key priority areas of the 7th five-year plan of the government of Bangladesh is to promote public-private sector partnerships. The same plan forecasts a private sector contribution of 77% to realize its vision. This places private sector voices and entrepreneurial solutions at the forefront. We believe together vision to identify and test SDG-driven business opportunities to create a positive social impact with financial return. In Bangladesh, the Build Bangladesh UNDP SDGs Impact Fund aims to raise over $1 Bangladesh the HUI access to information, host countrywide youth competitions to support entrepreneurs. I'm confident that by convening today, by fostering youth-led development, we are one step closer to unlocking the business case of sustainable development in Bangladesh. Thank you very much.
Our heartfelt thanks to you, ma'am, for your words of encouragement and gracing the occasion with your presence. Today we are delighted to have amongst us as our honorable chief guest, Mr. Abul Kalam Azad, Principal Coordinator SDG Affairs in Prime Minister's Office. Sir, we now invite you to come on the stage and share your words with us. Join us on the stage and remain here for the photo session. First, I would like to call Dr. Zohur Ahmed, Managing Director, Apex Holdings Limited. I think we also have with us Dr. Mohammed Rizal Kabir, the moderator for IBA Communications Club. Is he here? Sir, you would also take the podium. Next, I would like to call Mr. Ali Ashfa, partner KPMG in Bangladesh. Next, can we have Mr. Ashish Jamal Haq, Country Customer Service Manager, Mars, Bangladesh. Next, we will have Ms. Tasira Baru, Country Head of International HSBC Bangladesh. Next, we would request the team leaders of each team to come forward to collect certificate of participation one by one. First team is No Name Consulting. Next, Team Free Lunch. Team Natives. Brains of Castilier. Sketchy Stationaries. RD. Okay, so I have in my hand now, guess what? Yes, names of the winners. Before we go to the announcements, are you curious what is in store for the top teams? So, the bronze championship winner will receive crests, certificates, and BDT 50,000 Business Development Fund from HSBC. While the silver championship winner will receive crests, certificates, and BDT 75,000 Business Development Fund from HSBC Bangladesh. Gold championship winner will receive crests, certificates, and BDT 1 lakh Business Development Fund from the HSBC, and not only that, the Bangladesh Gold Champion will get to go to Hong Kong in the first week of June to compete against other teams from countries across the world for the championship prize of, any guess? $10,000. Hope you have got your passports ready. A lot at stake here. I'm feeling really nervous. I'm sure all of you are feeling anticipation as well. It's time to announce top 3. We will start with the bronze champions. Which team will it be? Okay. It has something to do with Game of Thrones. Brains of Casimir. All team members, please come in the front of the stage to receive your prizes and do a little photo session. Okay. So, bronze gone. Two more places left. 5 more teams. Who's getting the silver? Is it native? Is it Arkin? Free launch? To find out, I would request all quiet and open the envelope and announce the winner.
Something to do with the free. The team is free launch.
Okay, so thank you very much. We can all go home. Can we? Oh wait, there's one more left. Yes, the final position. One top position and 4 teams. Okay, to give the prize, to announce the winner, I would request our chief guest, Mr. Abdul Kalamazan, sir.
This is gold. So gold is Team Arcane.